As the years continue to progress, we witness college football transforming to a regional sport like NASCAR. The only time the nation as a whole pays attention to the game is when a traditional rivalry takes place. The sport in general gets its big dollars from such matchups. However, the duels in the South are more popular largely due to the residents. In the South, football is just as important as spiritual faith, family, and culture. As a matter of fact, football coincides with all three, which is why many stadiums are heavily filled with people on fall Saturdays. We all know the traditional Southern rivalries such as Alabama-Auburn, Florida State-Miami, and Texas A&M. But what if I told you of a new rivalry that's been taking place in the classroom and will finally set foot on the gridiron within this decade? The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets football team has been around since the Reconstruction New South era of the late 1800s. The Yellow Jackets are one of the oldest programs in college football history, with an overall record of 737 wins, 506 losses, and 40 ties. Between the 1930s and the 1960s, they were members of the now infamous Southeastern Conference. Within this time frame, they earned 5 conference titles. Up to this day, they still have more SEC titles than Kentucky, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Arkansas, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Texas, and Oklahoma. Within this time frame, they also developed heated rivalries with Alabama and Auburn. Alabama leads the series with a 28, 21, and 3 record, while Auburn have played more games against the Jackets, leading their series with a 47, 41, and 4 record. In 1964, the SEC adopted the 140 rule, which limited football and basketball scholarship offers to 45 recruits per year, and a team could not have more than 140 scholarship players on their roster. Bobby Dodd, who was the athletic director and head football coach of Georgia Tech at the time, did not like the rule and tried his hardest to change it with the support of school president Edwin Harrison. Before a 1964 meeting of SEC athletic directors and presidents, Alabama head coach Bear Bryant assured Dodd that he too would vote to change the rule. However, on the day of the meeting, Bryant was not in attendance, and Alabama President Frank Rose voted against the change, with the voting ending in a 6-6 draw, which enabled the 140 rule to stay. Within that same hour, Georgia Tech's president went on the stage and announced that the school was leaving the SEC. The reason behind Dodd's dislike of the rule was stated in a 2014 Macon Telegraph article from Bobby Pope, which read, "Yellow Jackets athletic director and football head coach Bobby Dodd felt that the rule forced coaches to oversign and run players off who weren't good enough. Dodd would keep players on scholarships until they graduated. He said it wasn't a player's fault if he wasn't good enough to make the team, but rather the coaches for misjudging the talent. Dodd will only sign 30 to 32 players a year, while other schools were signing the maximum 45 and then running off inferior players so they could meet the roster limit. He thought it was unfair and would not withdraw scholarships from players." Georgia Tech left the conference with a 206, 110, and 12 record, leaving the SEC in the annual meaningful rivalries with Alabama, Auburn, and Tennessee, but kept in-state rival Georgia intact. Tech eventually started new rivalries with Clemson, Virginia Tech, and Florida State, but those rivalries never generated as much passion and interest among the fans as the SEC foes. Such buzz may come back to rise, as a program approximately 2 miles down Marietta Street is vastly growing and endangering the Yellow Jackets' royalty as the only premier college football program in the Peachtree capital.
Take the city, take the city, yeah. Take the city, take the city, take the city.
The Georgia State Panthers are one of the youngest programs in college football history. They are one of multiple universities that started funding football within the last 2 decades. They started play in 2010 as an FCS foe in the Colonial Athletic Conference. In 2013, they departed the CAA to move up in the FBS ranks, joining the Sun Belt Conference in 2013. They initially struggled as an FBS team in the early stages. In 2013, they didn't win any games, going 0-12. The next season, they went 1-11, but were still winless against FBS opponents, as their lone win in the season came against an FCS foe, Abilene Christian. Their breakthrough came in 2015 as they got their first FBS win against New Mexico State and went on to win 5 more games, becoming bowl eligible for the first time in program history. Since then, they have posted relatively average seasons, winning no more than 7 games, including an impressive victory over Tennessee in 2019. What makes this program intriguing, however, is its upside by virtue of its location, enrollment, number of campuses, and overall potential. 2015 only wasn't a breakthrough year on the football field for the Panthers, but also off the field economically. This was the year that the Georgia Board of Regents voted to consolidate a local community college system named Georgia Perimeter with Georgia State. The Perimeter College, having 4 campuses, helped the Panthers' enrollment numbers to rise over 50,000, making it the largest student body population in the state of Georgia. A year later, in 2016, the Regents approved the university's purchase of a former baseball park named Turner Field, which was turned into a football stadium for the Panthers. Georgia Tech and State are literally within biking distance from one another. Both campuses are in the heart of Atlanta. While the 2 schools always competed against one another in the academic arena, they never faced each other on the football field. Such is going to change in 2024, as the 2 schools will face each other for the first time ever at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. Even though the Panthers have already faced multiple Power 5 opponents, this will go down as the biggest game in program history. This will be the first time that they face an in-state Power 5 opponent. Also, Tech is a Power 5 opponent within the same city, which gives this matchup the potential to be the biggest rivalry in Southern college football history. Atlanta is considered to be the capital of Southern college football by virtue of many former SEC, ACC, Sun Belt, and Conference USA students residing in the metro area after graduation. A matchup between Georgia Tech, a Power 5 school, and Georgia State, a soon-to-be Power 5 school, not only boosts recruiting for the football programs in a talented high school football region, but also in the classroom. The battle for Peachtree could be more cherished for Tech than their clean old-fashioned hate against the Georgia Bulldogs. One established in-state rivalry that the Yellow Jackets have failed to level up and meet expectations since leaving the SEC due to Alabama's support of the 140 rule. Before leaving the conference, Tech was 27, 26, and 5 against the Bulldogs. Since their departure in 1964, they have been 14 and 43. For the time being, it's pretty clear that the Bulldogs is the king of the state. The battle for Peachtree should be of paramount importance to Tech, for the astronomical growth of the Georgia State Panthers have not reached a tipping point yet. Before 2010, there was never a program in the city to challenge Tech's status as a Power 5 football program. For schools like Morehouse and Clark Atlanta never had big ambitions like Georgia State. In-town rivalries on the collegiate level is common in the basketball arena, but rare on the football field. Campuses with football programs are typically located in rural, remote locations. The only noticeable in-town college football rivalry in America is USC-UCLA. With a high level of interest from students, alumni, and media combined with good marketing, the battle for Peachtree could be bigger than the Crosstown Cup. The 2 schools only meet twice during this decade, which means whoever wins the 2024 and 2026 games will have the upper hand in recruiting heading into the 2030 decade. The battle for Peachtree is bigger than bragging rights. For legacy, status, rank, and power is on the line for the crosstown rivals, merely 2 miles apart from one another.